أعوذ بالله من الشياطين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. We say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Allah is Lord of the worlds. My name is Fatiha Sharia. This is in association with Dr. Tutor, the law school, of mathematics, Allaah School of Mathematics. My name is Fatiha Sharia. We talk about the Law School of Mathematics as I work on my education. I'm working towards a doctorate in mathematics. Once I get to a graduate level, I don't know whether I'm going to get my master's, inshallah, and then from a master's, that'll allow me to probably teach at a college level, and then from there, I don't know what direction I might go in, or do I just go and get the doctorate in math? Once I get to a master's level and get my master's, inshallah, I could just start reading the books and doing the research, right, to carry me on. But whether I do dentistry costs so much, and I don't know whether it works like graduate school. Like, can I get a scholarship to a dental school? I don't know if that works the same way, because when you talk about dental school, first of all, dental school is actually very expensive. So I don't even know, right? So that's just what I'm looking at, right? It's so much for us to do, and but I'm thinking, no, more or less, I might just get the doctorate in mathematics. It just depends, right? But I know with a master's in math, I can teach. So if dental school doesn't work out, then I can always teach with a master's at like a college level is what I'm looking at. So I don't know. But I say that with the doctorate in mathematics, that's in dealing with their law school of mathematics, to just educate young people on math. And I was talking with one of the professors at the university, and what I'm more or less looking at is pure math. They have something called pure math. So when I talk about math analysis, I'm more or less speaking about pure math. But then you have something called applied math, and that's really the environment I'm in right now. Applied math, and that's mathematics, and that's math analysis, but it's also really dealing with computer programming, and just big data analysis. And data analysis is statistics, and probability. I really love statistics and probabilities, like, and dealing with math in like an undergraduate school, high school situation. Whenever I seen statistics or probability, I was always like fearful to take those type of classes. Right? But so this time around, and just majoring in math and just going forward, I actually fell in love with statistics and probability. It was either statistics. I was going to focus on statistics or math analysis, and statistics is actually very good because they don't really categorize, or they don't place probability. Again, probability is prophecy. They don't place probability in a math analysis environment. They place probability really with statistics, numbers, crunching numbers, data, analyzing or reading numbers. So that's really, when you talk about data, right, and computers, that's like applied math on a certain level. But the foundation, again, to understand is math analysis and pure math. When we talk about Kemet, we're really talking about pure math, originating the originating of math. We talk about the creation of mathematics, creation of mathematics. And that's a good way to introduce, right? Let me stay focused, right? Because we talk about Sharia. We talk about Sharia financials, and brothers and sisters, it's making bricks out of straw. Bricks out of straw, from the biblical story of Moses and the children of Israel, and the things that we were doing, or the things that Pharaoh had us doing in bondage. And if you look at Black America, within American society, Black America within American society, we're really just making bricks out of straw. How we beat ourselves in the head to advance. So I say Sharia financials and making bricks out of straw, because let's stay focused though. Seek ye first the kingdom. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and all of seek ye first the kingdom of God let me see if I can get this camera correct. We're having technical difficulties. Should I come in a little bit more? Let me see something. Let me come in right here. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and all of his righteousness. I should come out a little bit, right? I don't know, brothers and sisters, if you can see that, that'll be real good. Let me write it again. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and all of his righteousness. Okay. If I come down a little bit more, I think that's perfect, right? Can we see that? Okay. Okay. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and all of his righteousness. So, brothers and sisters, let's talk about Sharia. Sharia financials. And so I'm trying to stay focused, right? Because again, in reading the Bible this morning and just what's going on with the stock market, I was so distracted. And God says in the Holy Quran, the abundance of wealth diverts you or diverts us until we come to the grave. So I always keep that in mind, right? But at the same time, God wants us to be financially successful. So I remember the last lecture, and I was talking to my tomato plant. What's going on, brother? How you doing? I was talking to brother, and so the last lecture we had opened up the atomic physics book, right? And so it's just difficult. That's difficult to understand and learn, right? But we're going to master it, inshallah. It's not impossible, right? And then that's black people math. But just in speaking on the camera to the people till we get to a point where we learn, atomic physics is difficult. But we took atomic physics and we took the integral of the wave function, right? Remember the wave function. That's radius and time. So you have Cartesian coordinates, the x-axis, the y-axis. Then this right here is the radius. If you have some type of activity, you have some type of activity at the origin. So this is the vector, right? This is the angle, and this is over time. This x-coordinate can be time. But you square this, you square the absolute value, and then you got tau. So, and then, again, in repetition, tau is dx, dy, dz. So you remember now, you got three axes, that's 3 dimensions. So if you're talking about the real number set with numbers, that's r to the 3. But if you're just talking about space, we're going to call it a to the 3, or h to the 3. The x-axis, the y-axis, the z-axis. So you got one dimension in the x direction. That's linear or a straight line, the number line, 1, 2, 3, 4 to infinity. Then you have 2 dimensions. The x-axis, y-axis, planar. Remember, a circle is planar. Then you have a sphere. And a sphere is multi-dimensional. We're going to use real numbers. And remember, when it's multi-dimensional, it's just r to the n. So you got 3 dimensions, x, y, z. And when you're talking about spherical, or really atoms, I might make this my logo of my research company. It just depends. And I look at this from like an explosion. You have an impact and then a radius. So that radiation travels. Whenever you see commercially about them doing experimentations with atomic bombs, you see something like this as far as like the distance travel, of the radiation from the initial impact of the atomic bomb. But this is 3 dimensions. So that's dx, dy, dz. So you're talking about the summation of a wave function squared with these two independent variables, the radius and time, dx, dy, dz. Right, so you have to know this function, this psi function, you have to know that function. So they give that to you, but as the originators of mathematics with knowledge of God, we have to know how to just create that, but they already give it to you. Right, so again, it's like once you get your doctorate or your educational training in this information, where are you going to go to get the finances for your education? Like you're learning this to do this for Caucasian people. So that's why the function is already given, because they're already using a specific function. Now again, there's nothing wrong with that, but what I'm saying is that they already give you the function. So A is amplitude, it's the exponential of just some numbers. But they use this across the planet. So if you learn this discipline as far as atomic physics, wherever you go with what they're giving you, you'll just fit right in and you'll know how to keep it moving, where you know they can keep their business going. But listen, brothers and sisters. But I wanted to learn, I want to learn this, but what I had did, right? So I talk about, and then look, so this integration, we just gonna change all the symbols up and just say this right here, with respect to tau. They say that's equal to 1. So we was saying that on the stock market, again, we talking about the stock market. On the stock market, we're going to find at least one stock symbol with at least a ROI of 200%. So we talking about we got to come out with the function, the stock function, right? It's all complicated, a whole bunch of variables, the whole alphabet, A, B, C, D, all the way to Z. Then we're going to divide that by another, we're going to say infinity. Infinity times negative infinity, right? So look, right? I'm so disgusted right now. Oh, brothers and sisters. Okay, we're going to talk about Sharia financials. Sharia financials. You know, I'm saying, Mr. Sharia is poor. Or we not driving no Mercedes-Benz. It ain't no Benz. No Benz wagon. We ain't pushing no BMW or nothing like that, right? We don't own no real estate. We don't own nothing. We about to work at Walmart. Not to take away from working at Walmart. But when you go through, like the Minister Honorable, like Minister Louis Farrakhan say, right? The years in front of us are fewer than the years behind us. I like how he pronounced that. So you look at the past, and we just don't really have nothing compared to our examples as far as being a responsible black man in society. Now, it's a brick wall. If you talk about black American, then you talk about the black man in America, black man in America. It's a steel brick wall called Caucasian ignorance. It's so many adjectives, ignorance, that we can use right there. But the black man hit that wall, and we either incarcerated on some crazy type of time, or we're in the grave or we're just out here addicted to drugs, ignorant. So that's the black man being responsible in American society, responsible, right? That's not really what it is. Again, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 48 says that until we are destroyed. So, Mr. Sharia, Fatiha, Mr. Sharia has basically nothing but a strong belief in God and progression. Now, we're not destitute, but when you talk about a wife and children, no, you got to provide as a black man. You got to provide for your wife and your children. And on some levels, that's finance. Now, when you're talking about like a Muslim sister, I mean, even a Muslim sister why? I don't know. I'm not really into finance, only that I like to do charity, like sincerely, and I want to, but you know, so again, right, we were talking about the integral symbol, and we were talking about we were gonna find a start, right? It's just real crazy, brothers and sisters. I'm gonna show you what happened, right? Why I'm so disgusted. So, and busting out bricks out of straw. Bricks out of straw. And busting our brain, talking about we gotta come out with some crazy function for 200% ROI. That means if you buy $10, 200% is $20 increase. So you talking about $30. So you put in $10. Now you got $30. That's one share. $30 is all right if you a little child. So busting our brains, I just look at myself, right? So I started talking to brother, right? And so what happened, brothers and sisters, was that about a couple weeks ago, they were talking about quantum computing. I spelled that wrong. I might have spelled it right. Quantum computing, right? At first it's like artificial intelligence, computerizing for that. And then another level of artificial intelligence is quantum computing. Quantum computing. What I spelled right there? I spelled it wrong, right? My brain, right? That's a chattel slavery. Chattel slavery. We really just be ignorant. I realize how really, I'm not going to say dumb, but what I want to say, brothers, is that Sharia fight now, I want to say I'm shutting everything down. I mean, I don't mean like I'm just going to stop living. I'm just saying like giving advice, and no, I don't really know nothing. And I seen how ignorant I was. So if you go back to the last lecture, and you could hear it in my voice, and it's true, coming out with a function to find that stop, right? But what happened was, they was talking about quantum computing. So I'm not really into all of that, right? Until we start doing it for ourselves, we don't believe in God. So even these people that's coming out with all of this, they gonna still burn in the hellfire. It's not gonna last. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's not gonna last. I'm saying like, that's just not what time it is. But it's confusion, because it's God. I think Jesus said, give to Caesar what is Caesar's and give to God what is God. It's just a lot we have to learn. But anyway, so I wasn't really into quantum computing because, again, they're so far off from really mastery of this. Because we ain't really got AI straight. And they still talking about robotics, and these robotic cars are crashing. So all that's still in stage development. So when I seen quantum computing, my first thought where I messed up again, ignorance, is that I was like, no, that's probably 10 years from now, thinking in the future, right? It was just being dumb, brothers and sisters. But what I did was, I went to the quantum computing ETF. They have an ETF, quantum computing ETF. I believe it's called QTUM. This is the ticker symbol or the stock symbol. So if you go to stockanalysis.com, stockanalysis.com, when you put in what they call ETFs are just, I want to say people, because it's not, I mean, it might be a corporation, but it's just people that got a lot of finance and they buy a lot of shares of different stocks in one environment, like the artificial environment, artificial intelligence environment. They got one called SPY or VOO. That's just as the powerful stocks on the NASDAQ. That's actually real good. The brother talk about if you do $5 a day with either one of these stock symbol, SPY, VOO, if you do $5 a day the next 10, 15 years, like for your children or for yourself, depending on your age, in the next 20 years, if you just do $5 a day, you could take it up to $10. If you're working, it's just thinking longevity, you'll end up with probably like 100,000. He done broke it down mathematically. And that's based on, again now, this is not the 40s and the 50s. We talking about 2024. And I think they just killed a general in Russia. So it's just mastering your emotions. You got to look at all the generals or people of power. They even saying that they might have even killed the Iranian president crashed in that helicopter. So like, you know, you got to deal with your emotions. And that's a good reflection on Prophet Muhammad. Because Prophet Muhammad took a lot of severe losses, double crosses and signing peace treaties, and he still humbled himself and had forgiveness. As black people in America, we done been so demoralized and mocked and made a fool of completely. To this very day, they still make fools of us. Like, let's get back focused. So with the quantum computing, right, I wasn't full-fledged because again, another good stock or another good environment to get involved in is nuclear energy. Nuclear energy with the stock market. My brother also talks about, when I say my brother, I'm talking about Dr. Watkins. What's going on, brother? How you doing? I pray everything is going good for you. I know it is. He talks about the nuclear energy environment as far as like corporations, as far as like artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence takes so much energy that, you know, you got electricity, but it's going to be really nuclear energy to supply artificial intelligence. So they have a lot of nuclear energy or energy ETFs. I don't know what the ETF means. Equity, something. It might, I don't know. But it's the ETF. So when he was saying ETFs or just nuclear energy, Caucasian people and nuclear, that's not a good combination. Like, that don't go together. Like, that don't even sound right as a black man or a black woman in America that you're going to invest. Now, again, all of these are Caucasian corporations, so we're not going to win no way. But it's just different levels. Like, I don't mess with stock, like corporations in Israel has a lot of powerful, I ain't going to say powerful, but Israel has a lot of small cap businesses on the stock market. And these businesses kind of hide within the trillions of dollars. And these Israel businesses, they go up crazy. Like, you get in $5, it go up to $30 and $40. Because again, they follow the laws of Moses. And so they just coming out with, with reading the Bible. And again, that's a Semitic language. So they reading the Bible black language. And it does something to your mind where you can just think, you think God communicates. So they come outside. I don't invest nothing. Every time, so you got to look at the profile. Again, if you go to stockanalysis.com, stockanalysis.com, if you go to profile, when you go to stocks, they got a tab called stocks. If you click on that tab, they'll just give it to you, right? Whatever stock symbol you're looking at, if you go to profile, they'll just tell you what's up with the company, and they'll tell you what country it is. So if it's a company in Israel, I don't even mess with it. I don't mess with like alcohol stocks. I don't mess with reefer stocks. And so you talking about Caucasian people and nuclear energy being black in America? So no, I don't mess with, I'm very skeptical. Like if it say straight, we enriching uranium, nah, they're gonna enrich that you on some levels at some point in time. And then they're already doing it with the preservatives. But at some point in time, they enriching that uranium to drop that bomb on black people in America. So it's certain stocks I don't mess with. So I say that because when I started looking at ETFs and what corporations they were investing in, some corporations I wasn't messing with. I first seen it with VOO. They were invested heavily with Tesla. And at that time, that Mr. Musk had said something about black people being ignorant or we was monkeys. Like he said that. So I mean, now on some levels you could get on his back and let him ride you. I mean, that's not me. But I'm saying, like, he said that situation. He's from South Africa, right? So it's a lot of okay. So I seen it with Tesla. So that's when I started just looking at ETFs. And instead of investing in the ETF, I would just invest in corporations that I felt that, I wasn't such of a jackass as far as being a black man. So what happened was, in dealing with quantum computing, when I went to the ETF for quantum computing, yo, they had some damn, this is what they was invested in. So how I do it, brothers and sisters, when you go to an ETF, like they got real estate ETFs, right? I don't really like real estate either because it's slow. And again, you got to get, so anyway, when you go if you go to stockanalysis.com and if you're messing with an ETF, they'll give you what they're heavily invested in. So I was just looking at the stocks that they have the most shares of. So I was just messing around. And they gave me QUBT, right? Let's understand, right? Then they got QMCO, and then they got RCGI. Then there's another one, right? I got 4 of these, right? Just messing around. And so I say that again because let's look, right? If you go back to the last lecture, and I'm talking about all these crazy things we got to learn. Now, we should learn this now. I'm not saying we shouldn't learn it, but I'm just saying making bricks out of straw. We were looking for a damn 200% return on investment, ROI. So what happened was, when I got to quantum computing and am I going to invest in quantum computing? I just found out about this a couple of weeks ago. Each one of these stocks, QUBT, QMCO, RTGI, each one of these stocks had already went up $1. Like they had already went up 200%. They coming, brother, these stocks coming from like 30 and 40 cents. 60 and 70 cents. So when I got to it, They was already at $1.80. That's already a 200% increase, right? So what happened was, just I'm supposed to know what's going. That's why it's just the Sharia financials, brothers and sisters, kind of shut down. It's just I don't know. That's what I'm gonna say. I don't know, because it was already 200%, but it was just at $1.80. So what I did with each one of these, right? Yo, for QUBT, I brought it at $3. You ain't gonna buy no, brothers and sisters. This is what I'm trying to tell you. You not gonna, if it was just 80 cents, it was just 80 cents. I read the report. The Caucasian said that thing did a God candle. Remember they got something called a dead cat bounce, where it's up here and it just come down? Let me get it on the camera, right? They got something called a dead cat bounce, where it's doing good and then it just come down and then it might bounce back up like this. That's called a dead cat bounce. So this brother right here, this analyst, he said this is called a God candle. I was like, damn. But it did a God candle from like 80 cents to $3. What they call parabolic. Parabolic is just an acceleration. The function for a parabola is just yx squared. A parabola looks like this. On the graph, the x-axis, y-axis. This is what a parabola looks like. So you got situations when you talk about growth. As far as the natural environment, you got growth that does this, or really this part right here, the positive graph, that's that 1, 2, 3, 4. So you talking about section 1 of the graph, Cartesian coordinates, that's just acceleration. Remember now, you got meters per second, and then you got meters per second squared. Per second, that's what again, the abundance of wealth. But they call it parabolic. But the analyst said that's called a God candle. I like that joke, right? How they use that. But it did a God candle to $3. So I was like, damn, it's already it didn't already went up 200%, right? It already did a God candle. So realistically, listening to Warren Buffett, my brother, listening to Warren Buffett from my brother, Dr. Watkins, you don't never buy in the green, damn sure not when it did a God candle. And you always buy in the red, like the Feds cut rates. They cut it by 25 points, whatever that language is, I think 0.25 points. But they gave it's just some more hustling. But that stock market dropped, right? So what time is it? Because we got to stay focused, right? Okay, we got a little bit of time. Yo, the NASDAQ dropped. I'm really more focused on NASDAQ. Now we'll catch a stock from either the NASDAQ or the Dow, but most of I like the S&P 500. The NASDAQ dropped 3%, brothers and sisters. So today is necessarily a buy-in day. You want to be cautious because it could keep dropping. Like we're still looking at where it could just keep dropping. Like we might go into like the NASDAQ been doing this, right? But they do have a dip. Like when it dipped right here, I've yet to see that. Like I came in 2003, 2023. When it dipped like this was 2022. So I'm still fresh. So I've just been doing this and I've been losing, like it might catch a dip like that, right? But it's been going up. So I've been having to learn. I just have to learn how you just got to keep it. So I would say like today for me, it's just a learning process. I used to go real hard, ignorant when you got a couple dollars, especially if they giving you a margin. So it then went down 3%, right? And I don't want to, I can't, I don't know, brothers and sisters. I'm going to be honest with you. I hate to even tell you what I'm going to do. Because again, let's stay focused. But today could be a buying day, like Adobe at 440. Right? We got a couple things. ZS, they are cybersecurity. They at 186. You just got, I don't know if you would mess with NVIDIA. NVIDIA just, it took it and went up. But AMD is at 121. MCHP. Now these are microchips, and microchips are not played out, but it's kind of played out. But these are billion-dollar companies. My MCHP, I think they got $56. MU dropped to $87. So these are stocks that I'm gonna look at. I'm only gonna buy one or two. I want to buy 10 or 20. I would buy 10 or 20 and just go all in and be sick and be in a margin call a week later. But let's understand, right? Let's understand. Why we Sharia financials. Sharia financials. Let's understand, brothers and sisters. So I had a couple QUBT. There's still probably some more out there. I'm just getting this from the ETF. QUBT, QMCO, RTGI, and I brought IONQ. But IONQ was already high, but it went up another $20. I brought this at $20, and it went up to, okay, so let's understand. I'm picking on this one right here because I'm sick with all of it. I'm just, brothers and sisters, again, I remember NVIDIA, I had NVIDIA at $400, and it went up to $480. I think I had 10 shares. I might have had 10 shares. It went up to $480, but I had dollar cost averaged it from like $430. So I didn't make $800, but I made $200. I remember I made it was $280. That was really the first. That's not nothing. I mean, well, we're thankful. Again, the abundance of wealth diverts you till you come to the grave. But it was $280, and I let it sit, and it dropped back down to $400. Right, so I eventually got my money back at $460. But look, NVIDIA went over 1,000. If I just, but I was very sick. So we back at that point, brothers and sisters, because look, we talking about finance. You got money you got money on the market, and then you got a margin. And ever since the last crash, like when it crashed the last time, I didn't have really no money to get in. I had to sell and buy stuff. So I learned, again, it's just a learning process. You got to have a margin. You got to have, again, the brother said you should have at least 10% of the value of your portfolio to the side in case the stock market crashes. Like today is one of them situations. But again, what's going on today can keep going on for the next couple of weeks now. We still don't know. And again, they just didn't kill that brother in Russia. But let's understand. QUBT did a God candle. It went from like 60 cents to $3. So here come Mr. Sharia. I'm like, damn, it's already done a God candle, right? So I brought 30 shares. I don't know why I would buy 30. I think just because it was just quantum computing. But normally, I would buy like 100 shares. And then if I really knew the game, I would probably put about $5,000. I'm just not that knowledgeable. Again, my brother said he got over 30 years, or he got 30 years experience. Again, I'm going into my second year. So if I would have, or this is what I'm saying, and being hasty, if I would have probably just said, I'm just not on the stock market like that. Because again, we don't control it and we don't know what's going on. So I'm not putting no attention on that too much. Like we study it. But, no, it's God. And we go into the grave. You can't take this God candle with you into the grave. But if I would have just looked at it, I might have, I wouldn't have put no 5,000 on it. I might have did 50. And then again, we took the loss with Robinhood. It's just a lot of factors. But anyway, I brought 30 shares at $3. I look at it now, it's just sickening. I brought 30 shares at $3, right? Okay. So look at what happened, right? So then let's go to the next one. QMCO. When I got the QMCO, it was already at $10, but it was quantum computing, so I brought 1 share. I'm not really that sick about QMCO. I mean, I am, but I don't know. I'm sick about this one and then look at this one, right? RTGI. If I go to my average, like the price I brought RTGI at $1.80. I look at it now, right? I brought 10 shares. And there's one more I brought 5 shares, but they all did the same thing. Let's understand, brothers and sisters. QUBT, it went up to, like I brought 30 shares. It went from $3 to $10. I was like, damn, right? I started getting sick, right? You talking about $7. So that's 300, that's a 300% ROI. I didn't use no stock function. I didn't make no brick out of straw. I just went to the quantum computing ETF and I just picked these stocks because the ETF had the most shares in each one of these stocks, right? Something real simple. But I didn't look at, I don't even know. Like with the God, like again, it had to be from God. It's the only thing it is. Like it's nowhere in the world unless, I don't know, it's like Bitcoin. Unless you in the quantum computing and you like, damn, you just got in late. See, I don't know nothing. That's where when the brother always talk about he got a doctorate, like he wrote his dissertation on the stock market. So you got like who really like, so it's just like who are you listening to? Right? I say God then gave me my doctorate, which he has. All praise to you, Allah, Lord of the worlds. But that's in dealing with your spiritual bliss, right? So, this thing went from $3 to $10. Then it went back down to $6, right? Because I always look now, the comparison is with the biotech companies. Biotech go up. You rarely see a biotech company go up like this, 300, and then stay up. It dropped right back down, like BTCS. Remember I was stressing about, BTCS went up to $4. Now it's back down to $2.80, but they're profitable. It's just dealing with that. I got 1,000 shares of some bullshit. Like I was telling brother, I got 1,000 shares of some bullshit. Lost on this. Gotta hold it. That's 1,000 shares. QUBT went from $3. Well, I brought 30 shares, just $30. $90. It went from $3, brothers and sisters. It went to $10. It went back down to $6. Yo, it went up to $16. Now it went up another $8. It's at like $26. The stock market went down 3%. But QUBT went up another 50. It went up, listen, it went from 80 cents, November the 18th, 2024. It's at $26 right now. I had this. I just messed around and brought 30 shares. I normally would buy 100 shares. At $3, we getting 100 of that. Okay. Sharia Financials. That's QUBT. We got the closed sign. You ever go to a business when they close until they open? The sign say closed. Sharia Financials. Okay, so let's look at QMCO. I brought one share at $10. Let's just see what it do. It then went up crazy. We in a biotech environment. No, it's coming back down. Yo, it went up to $22, right? That's another 100. That's 100%. Then look now, we was making a brick out of straw with atomic physics. Mr. Sharia then got you into atomic physics, talking about some damn stock symbols and a stock function. But just in messing around, I brought QMCO. I brought it at $10. I was like, no, that's going down. I just want to see what's going on with the quantum environment. Yo, it went up to $22. I was like, damn. So I made $12. There's no way. The reason why I'm not really sick on this, look now, it came from 50 cents. It went from 50 cents to $10. So I would have never did nothing with that. Normally, I wouldn't even have brought it, but quantum computing is supposed to be the next big thing. It went to $22, brothers and sisters. It dropped back down to $12. I was like, I should buy one more just to see what it do, but I was like, nah, biotech. Yo, that thing is at $60 right now. Actually, let's look and see what it is. Let's look and see what it is. Let me see something. Oh, QMCO Quantum Corporation. Okay, it didn't drop $12, so I feel a little bit better. Now, I don't mean people losing. Look. So let's understand. The whole thing Sharia Financial was talking about was what? We was looking for that fast car, that acceleration. Then God said, look, Fatiha, just on some humble. QUBT, QMCO, RTGI. What I'm trying to get you to understand is that when you're looking at Mr. Sharia, Mr. Sharia preaching to the people, right? But God is looking at me, right? So in me talking about, well, look, we got to find that stock that's gonna give you that RI. And all of my talking and preaching and busting my head on the stock market, right, coming out with a new technique and just picking stock. I picked these stock right here, right? You talking about just 3 winners. I brought 30 shares of QUBT. I brought 1 share. QMCO then went up 600%. 600%. Brothers and sisters, it went from 80 cents to $60 in less than a month. It's also my money bracket. Like, you know, people in different money brackets. So if you just got money and you in the quantum computing, 80 cents, you're going to buy 1,000 shares. You might buy 10,000 shares. 10,000 shares, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. What's that, $8,000? Damn, you talking about 1, 2, 3, 4? That's $600,000. That's just 8,000. Like, and if you if you're a quantum computer head, you're gonna spend $8,000. You're gonna buy 10,000 shares. No, you're gonna buy 1,000 shares. If you got money, a couple of dollars. Mr. Sharia in $100 bracket. Listen what I'm trying to tell you, brothers and sisters. This thing went from 80 cents to $60. But listen what I'm trying to tell you. QUBT went from $3. It's at $26 right now. Let's see what it's at. Let's see what it's at. QUBT, quantum computing. It didn't drop $3. It's at, I would have sold it at 25. I would have sold it. I would have had to pay the IRS. We don't have no problem with that necessarily. It went up to $26 from $3. I had 30 shares. I normally would buy 100 shares, but it did that God candle to get to that $3. Okay, so look, I just picked them two. So then I did RTGI. I really look at RTGI, right? I brought 10 shares at $1.80. It went up to $10. What's that? What's that? 246. That's like $400 increase. 400% ROI. So when you talk about, like, Dr. Watkins, not blowing up his spot, right? But, what's going on, good brother? He say he's a millionaire, right? He ain't just 1 million. He ain't just got 1 million, I'm assuming. He a multi-millionaire. He's just a black man. I really like Dr. Like, he, not to put on this chain. He just a real type. He from the projects of Louisville. He's just a funny type dude, right? I mean, it's just crazy. We black men are crazy. Floyd Mayweather is our Floyd Mayweather. But anyway. Yo, we ain't got nothing. You talking about 100,000? Mr. Sharia I just came off with 100,000. I ain't never seen 100,000. Yo, I ain't never seen 100,000. Not that that's the end of all. Like, then that's a whole separate situation. Am I really built to have 100,000? Where I had to learn, So look, this is what happened, right? So after all this was going on, I thank you Almighty Allah for bringing me to the camera too, just to speak it out. I was talking to brother, right? And brother don't help. He now I'm not picking on you, brother, but when you look at brother, when you talking about tomatoes, right? Tomato plants. You got the what they call the sliced tomatoes. Those the big joints, like the big tomatoes. And then you got the Roma tomatoes. The Roma tomatoes are real good. They've been keeping me going during this grocery inflationary period. Because when everything went up at Walmart, the Roma tomatoes went down to 98 cents. They used to be at $2. It went down to 98 cents. Everything else then went up, but them Roma tomatoes, 98 cents. So this one right here is a Roma tomato. They grow more like a vine. And really tomatoes more like, again, when you go to the book of Genesis, and always understand, brothers and sisters, we talking about a lot of money. Yo, listen to what I'm trying to tell you. It went from 80 cents. You could just be into the stock market, But you could just be in the quantum computers and you walking around ragged, but you intelligent as hell. I don't mean disrespectful ragged. I mean, you just ain't got no finance. Quantum computing ain't really wholesaling. Well, that's commercial. But you went to quantum computing. And now it went to $60. Now you might have bought like you might have just been putting in on QUBT. It ain't but so many. It's only a couple of it's only a couple quantum computing corporations. Now listen what I'm trying to tell you. Over 5 and 6 years you've been messing with this company. You made $1 million. You just an average black man working at Walmart or Wendy's or McDonald's. And just like that, you a millionaire. But the IRS gonna jump into that because you done sold, listen, 6135? No, we done sold all. We probably kept I don't even know, right? Depending on how many shares. We done kept 200 shares, but we done sold off them 800 shares. Oh, the IRS getting 10,000. But we gotta let them, they getting 10,000. Yo, for Mr. Sharia to go up 100,000? What? Oh, like I was telling brother, we out of here. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, America. I'm going to close my book and just make my exodus. What? Like again, we had the Muslim brother, I don't know his name. He got caught up. I think he actually was a prince too, right? So this story is like double-edged. But I think he was Muslim though. But it just depends. But he was a black man. He was a Muslim. He got caught up. He might have just been a Muslim and he wasn't a prince. But they do have stories where the prince of a kingdom in Africa was captured during slavery. But this brother was Muslim. And he got caught up towards the end of slavery. And when the Emancipation Proclamation came, he just went back to Africa. Right? I mean, we never heard from him again. Compared to the one brother, he was Muslim. He got caught up and he stayed in America. They even tried to say he became a Christian, right? So you know how that is. I don't know about all of that, right? Ha! Yo. So then RTGI, right? I brought it at $1.80. It went up to $10. I only brought 10 shares. You got to realize, look, I lost messing with Robinhood. I lost 3 G's. And counting. I lost probably another 2 G's. Because they closed the account. Then with ROIT, I lost about 6 G's. I don't mean like, all this is hypothetical. I don't mean I lost it while I had it and I lost it. I'm saying like, I can't even say ignorance. It's just how the stock market is. But I lost about 6 G's with that. I could have been up 6 G's. I could have been up 5,000. That's $11,000. I could have been up. Now with the stock market cars, I lost about $800 yesterday. And you look at that red, but then you just look, right? This motherfucker right here happy as hell. Like, when you do talk about when you was a little child, you go to McDonald's, right? You see the golden arches. Like the one time when Russia didn't come to the Olympics. And it was just America in the Olympics. So McDonald's had the thing that every time the Olympic team won a gold medal, you get a free Big Mac. And Russia didn't come to the Olympics now again, they probably poisoned the hell out of the black children, right? Cause that's a McDonald's in a black area. But so we was crushing that thing with all them tickets we was keeping. You know what I'm saying? So that's what QMCO is, right? Yo! And then again, right, with RTGI, that's like $8. I would have brought 100 shares because it was so cheap. Ah. At the same time, AMD done dropped another $3. Right, HUM, that's a good company. Long term, like it's short term, like the next couple of months, but long term too. Right, they got a real good graph. You know, with them trying to deregulate, like cutting out the middleman with the pharmaceutical companies, and as far as like the customer getting their prescriptions, yo, they dropped $25. So yeah, I would get in with them though. Cause they average price is like $500 a share. MCHP. And then look, even with, I'm gonna tell you how God is, right? God just messing with me. With CVS, everything went down yesterday, right? But I've been dollar cost averaging CVS too, right? Cause CVS is we're going to talk about the production, what it is, why I naturally gravitate. When you look at companies, CVS went up $2 yesterday, even though everything else went down. So I kind of work with that, right? But when you look at like Whirlpool, I think I might buy a little bit of Whirlpool today because I realize why I gravitate towards these companies. Like Whirlpool, Intel went down kind of bad too, right? They trying to see whether Intel going to make it or not. Whirlpool, Intel, what else I say? AMD is not really in a Whirlpool type like General Electric, but I don't know if you would say General Electric or like Microsoft, whatever the stock symbol is for Microsoft. And so you got these companies like these American companies that be in the toilet right now. I ain't gonna say they won't never know good, but you know, the black man and black woman coming up with their own thing. That's not specifically an African black origin. Like you just got black people across the planet. So they come out with their own thing. But the reason why these companies are good is the production. It's what you investing in. Like Estee Lauder, they went from $60. I think they at $80 right now. That's a behind the scenes come up, like a grad. Now I don't know whether they're gonna keep going up, but when you look at Estee Lauder, or you look like Victoria's Secret, now again, like with nuclear stocks, like I'm gonna tell you, they had the one company, VFC, right? I was invested in that company. But then I found out they make Timberlands. And you know, at one time, in like our culture, the 80s and the 90s, you know, we were spending all our money on Timberland. And I'm not going to say the woman did a Polo or Ralph Lauren where she said, no, I think that was Tommy Hilfiger. Said he don't make clothes for black people. I don't think that, whoever owned that, they didn't do that. But as much as black men rock them Timberlands, but how we all incarcerated now, and Timberland ain't never, or the Timberland Corporation ain't never did nothing for that, lobbying, none of that. So, you know, I don't invest. Now, you know, I'm not perfect, but if it's outright and I can see it, but they probably didn't went up. I'm gonna tell you a good stock you should look at. RVPH. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is what I'm talking about right here. I've been wrestling with RVPH. I've been wrestling with them at 80 cents. God bless me again. The Black Business School, they had a stock competition. That was actually very good. Congratulations to the brother that won that jump. You know, Dr. Watkins had interviewed him. I don't know. I didn't watch the entirety of the interview. So I don't know whether he gave like his best investments during that competition to where he won. I think he cleared we started out with $50,000. I think he got up to like $94,000. I ended up with like 58,000. I lost interest. I mean, I didn't lose interest. What happened was, and messing with this competition, I started looking at my the real finances, right? So I got kind of like, I just started messing with it to see how the stock market worked. If you do like volume, I was doing like, it was good because like you could buy 10,000 shares of a penny stock, right? But I had got blessed, really. I had jumped, I was up. I was there. RVPH was at 80 cents. I brought like 10,000 shares. It went up to $1.15. I was right there, but I sold it. Right, just in messing around and just seeing what was good or whatever. And I brought like a whole bunch of shares. And this one stock I told you went from, where'd it go, from $5 to like 50 cents. It's at 50 cents. It's at like 57 cents right now, right? I don't think that stock is gonna make it. GORO, remember I told you GORO went from 50, this is a gold stock, it went from 50 cents. I don't even really get into this no longer. It's at like, what is it at, 14 cents? It went up to 17. It's at 17 cents right now. The brother, the person that owned Goro, the CEO, he came out with a report saying they getting it together. But he still put that optimism out there. But no, they getting it together. It's just a penny stock. And then it's a gold stock. Right? So I don't think it's really, I mean, eventually, long term, I think it might go up to like $1. But listen what I'm trying to tell you. What was we talking about? Let me stay focused. Okay. Before we get back to the quantum computing. RVPH, they went from, I got sick on this company one time before, right? Because I had it at $2. This is when I was buying hundreds of shares, volume. I was in the volume at this time right here when I seen this. So I would buy 100 shares. Yo, it went from $2 to like $2.50, right? So I sold it. This is when I hadn't really learned. I was still learning. This was like a couple months ago, but I was still learning. I sold it at $2.50. Yo, that shit went up to $6 when I had 200 shares. Sick. Sharia Financials. Right, so I had sold it at $2.50, $2.70, just being impatient. It's just the mindset. See, when I go in at that time to buy a stock, it's just the mindset. Like, what are my objectives? My objectives were short term. So like I only was going to do that for a couple of weeks. Like I wasn't looking to own this stock. Like I'm looking to own this stock. Like you should own this. They're going to be from the last earnings report, I'm assuming, and just on how it sound and just the environment behind it, they have something they're doing with treating schizophrenia. It's not just schizophrenia, but they treat schizophrenia. And their treatment is like they actually have a product. And I think now it's on a level where their product is about to be like, you might see them commercials where you see the Caucasian with the Caucasian female, and it's just, they smiling and they happy. But, it has the music or not the monotone, but the music behind the scenes is like depressing, right? Where everything gonna be all right. And then they'll show you that box with that lubricant or whatever it is, pharmaceutical. So RVPH, they about to get to that level. And look, brothers and sisters, it went up to, I had a lot of shares of this too, right? It went up to, $4.40. I got sick, but I still get sick though, because I want to own it. And then I had a lot of shares and I sold it at 160. But I kept a lot of shares. It went from I just sold it, right? It went to $4.40. Sharia Financials. Yo, then it dropped back down. They did I don't know what, how the stock company, they be freaking it, right? But they did a buyback. They got something how they do it where, let's just see what it's called. They went up when the stock market dropped too, right? That's why it's kind of good, because when the stock market dropped yesterday, they went up. They didn't go back up to $4. They up another 4%. What they call? They did a what's it called? A public offering. So what they'll do, what companies will do, corporations will do, is when they do a public offering, like they probably give you like 10 million shares. They give you 10 million shares for a certain price because they want that finance. I think how analysts look at that, when corporations do a buyback, they're looking at it as far as like, well, that company needs money. So the price dropped from 440 to 130. So I was kind of sick, right? But corporations will also do that because to keep everything focused. Like again, like if I would have came off with that 100,000, which was realistic, like 60,000, like I would have made $60,000. $60,000. Damn, I did it. Yeah, that is 60,000. I'm thinking about 600,000. I would have had 60 G's. You know what my margin would have been? My margin would have been 60. Brothers and sisters, I would have had 120 on the stock market for buying stocks, investing. My bank account, if I would have put it in my bank, I would have put at least 40 G's in my bank. You know how many people watching my bank accounts and I'm working with food stamps. Not to just put that out there, but that's the reality. Now all of a sudden, you know, every time I go up in a bank or any environment, you know, he Muslim. Now he got 40 G's in the bank. So with RVPH, with their earnings report, with it going up to $4.40, and then it's a new company. I don't think it's only been around a couple of years. So to do a buyback at that time would make a lot of sense, because it'll drop the price, how they assume it, to get back, everybody get focused. So again, it's RVPH. You should take a look at that. That's long term. That's like long term. The next 10 years, I believe. What is it called? Revival. That's a good. That's even a good therapeutic biotech name, right? You see Revival on the commercial. So that's something to look at. They had $1.60, but again, they didn't went up 4%. So I don't know what you know. Okay. So I done lost my thought on a lot of things. But that's the stock market. And I wanna what time is it? Okay. So the stock market is open, brothers and sisters. So what I'm gonna do, I can't really look at the stock market and talk to you at the same time. But I wanna look at what's going on, and I wanna stay focused. Let me get my closing thoughts together. And then I'm gonna try to come back. I might come back later on in the day and speak about some I wanted to talk about some physics. I wanted to look at okay, let me finish this story, then we're gonna close it up. So after look now. After going through that, the QUBT, and it's still going on. QUBT, QMCO, RTGI. That's where I was with this story. Oh, brother, all of these stocks that went up. If you combine the percentage, 2,000%. They was penny stocks. Okay. So what happened was, right? So I ain't give up, right? I was feeling disgusted. So I was like, just let me keep going, right? So this what happened, right? So then I did the same thing, right? Just and my new technique, right? And just, so anyway, right? Excuse me, Almighty Allah, for sucking my teeth. But I seen what is it? RZLT. Let me see what stock. Let me see, make sure, right? RZLT. Is that a? Let me see what they do. No, it's not this stock. It's another stock. I don't even know what it is. R RZ RZ. Okay, RZLV. It's RZLT is good too, right? But it's RZLV. So I brought this stock, right? I brought one share because it was already, again, it was high. It had already went up like about 100%. But I brought it at like $2. Like I just brought one share, right? To kind of like you feel bad. Again, the stock market is a two-edged sword. Like and again, this is all like in mathematics. We got something called imaginary, where it's A plus IB, right, equals Z, and this I right here is like what mathematicians call imaginary. They call it imaginary because you might have a negative number in the square root, and there's no two numbers. Remember, square root is positive and negative. So if you got 4, the square root of 4 is 2. So that's positive and negative. You got a positive 2 and a negative 2 to make that statement true, right? 2 times 2 is 4. Negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. But say if you have, it's really from the equation, right? So if you have x plus 3 equals 0, say you have x squared. So then you subtract the 3 to both sides. So you have x squared plus 3 equals 0. Remember now, y equals x squared, that's a parabola or acceleration. So x squared is equal to negative 3. So you take the square, x equals negative 3. Well, there's no two numbers that's going to give you a negative number. Like a negative times a negative is positive, right? Positive times positive is positive. And the square root is not negative times positive to give you a negative, right? However that works. I have to look at that more again. So when you have a negative number, really the negative come from the statement. Because you have x squared minus 3 equals 0. So when they were when they were inventing this, x squared is equal to 3. So you take the square root of 3. So they seen it with the negative. But then when you have the positive, what is that equal to? So you have x squared equals negative 3. So that's x equals, well, there is no two, not even when you're talking about irrational numbers, because it's a negative. It's a negative 3. That's an actual real, from this equation now. So we can look at all of that. But so what they say is that negative 1, remember now, negative 1 times 3 equals negative 3. Always understand that it's a 1 there, we just don't write it. So it's negative 1 times 3. So they say the negative 1 is equal to I. So if you have a negative, you have a square root of negative 3, that's I 3. And the I is equal to negative 1. So when you have a I times I, square root negative 1 times square root negative 1, that equals negative 1. So when you have a statement A plus IB, and you see that I there, that means imaginary. So, and everything that we were speaking about, that was just imaginary. Like, brothers and sisters, a lot of people made, this is what I'm trying to tell you, you ain't got no money. And not only do you, like, it's, some people don't have money and they happy with their life. You don't have no money and you miserable because you ain't got no money. You know how much money these people just made? And this is going on, but I just didn't seen it. Okay, so what was I speaking about? Let's go back to what I was talking about, because I lost that thought, and I wanted to close up with that thought. Okay. So we was talking about, before we close out, just keep going, brothers and sisters. But as far as Sharia financials, I don't know. I'm going to just leave it there. I don't know about nothing. Even when you talk about math analysis, right? I didn't really do what I wanted. I didn't flunk the class, right? And it's just, again, I don't know. I am a profound teacher. I believe in God. I know that. And so we go from there. But the reality is, I think if you just listen, and you have to, again, you have to learn for yourself. The brother said he got over 30 years experience on the stock market. So that's crucial. And that's who you should really be listening to. And I will say this, like, I come from the Bible, I come from the scripture. Even on that level, I still don't know. I ain't went to school to learn none of that. Now, I didn't put in a lot of time. Like, I got years. And just walking with God, right? And you can probably hear. But as far as stock market, I don't know. No, people control the stock market. But I will continue to speak. And you can, from my mistakes or what I'm doing, you can make a decision about what you're going to do. But RZLV, I brought one share. It went up like 60%. It went up like $1. That's not realistic. Dollar stocks don't be doing that on a regular. But you're talking about 4 stocks now. So, all praise to you all over the world. So I don't know, brothers and sisters, if you well, it don't really need no discourse on that. Right? Ahudu Bilaye